A star is born at the Emirates. Meanwhile, Liverpool and Richarlison save Tudor Spurs. Guler bags a GOLAZO from 68 meters out. And Juan Laporta is re-elected Barca president in a landslide victory. This is DMac Daily. Pains me to say it, but that was pretty special, wasn't it? Cometh the hour, or in this case, the 74th minute, cometh the barely 16-year-old prodigy. Max Dowman had been the talk of the town for some time now. I mean, you don't break into one of the strongest teams in Europe at 15 if you don't have something about you, and it was yesterday at the Emirates where he delivered his biggest contribution yet in an Arsenal shirt. In a season surprisingly defined by a lack of firepower at times in Arsenal's attack, Dowman would be directly involved in both of Arsenal's goals, first whipping in an inch-perfect cross to Hincapié as Gyökeres then tapped in from close range, and then in the dying embers, Everton committed bodies forward in search of an equalizer. Arsenal caught them out on the counter, and Max Dowman fully came to life. Pace, creativity, and pure quality, effortlessly gliding past his opponents and eventually tapping home into an empty net. The youngest goal scorer in Premier League history. 3 points delivered, but that moment in isolation will live long in the memories of Arsenal fans. Their latest hail end sensation now has the fan base buzzing over what could be in both the short term and the following decade or so moving forward. You watch this kid play at youth level, and yeah, he's light years ahead of his peers. That much is already obvious, but what's impressed me most about Dowman is how that's immediately translated to senior football. He doesn't look out of place at all. He already appears the real deal, and it's that fearlessness in his approach that makes him such a menacing proposition for defenders. It's funny, I think Yamal's emphatic rise has somewhat distorted our expectations of what young talent emerging looks like. Like, if you're not carrying Spain to a Euros at 16, 17, are you even a proper wonder kid? Well, in this specific case of Dowman, I'm fully convinced his trajectory is headed towards becoming an elite footballer one day. The quality is undeniable, and it's that ability to deliver a seismic moment so early on in his career that has me fully convinced. It kind of reminded me of Rooney's breakthrough all those years ago. Ironically, it was these two clubs who would feature back in the day, with 16-year-old Rooney coming off the bench at Goodison Park and etching his name into Premier League history as the division's youngest ever goal scorer at the time. 24 years later, Dowman now breaks the record at 16 years, 73 days. Moving to Liverpool, and it's another disappointing result at Anfield. Szoboszlai, the only guy that seems to consistently show up for the Reds nowadays, scored his 5th free kick of the season, but a late equalizer from Richarlison sees Tudor keep his job for the time being. I wonder what Slot's future looks like though. I know Liverpool are still competing on 3 separate fronts, but it does appear as though the fan base has really turned on him now. The style of football is abysmal. There doesn't seem to be any tangible signs of improvement. They do remain in 4th, thanks largely to Chelsea being equally terrible, but the vibes are not good in Liverpool right now. The same can't be said about their fierce rivals Manchester United though. A huge 3-1 win at home to 4th placed Villa, the perfect response following a poor showing in Newcastle. It felt like a familiar path to victory for this new look Red Devils side. A Casemiro header, Cunha scoring and surfing, Seshko bagging off the bench, and at the heart of everything good about this new look United, Bruno Fernandes showing his class once again, grabbing 2 assists today. That's 16 now for the season, surpassing David Beckham's previous club record of 15. He's just 4 shy of the Premier League's joint record of 20, with 8 games still to play. We are witnessing a legendary individual season from the Portuguese legend. It's all the more impressive considering he was playing as a DM for like half the season. So a great weekend for United. The same can't be said for Man City, however, dropping another 2 points away at West Ham. Former gunner Mavropanos inflicting a hammer blow, pun absolutely intended, to City's title hopes. Pep will be fuming, no doubt. Look at the stats. That's the kind of result you get on FIFA that leads to a broken controller. Speaking of fuming, my not so beloved Chelsea are now fully back to Banter FC. The less said about that performance, the better. No doubt PSG are trembling in fear about the inevitable remontada that awaits. That was a joke, by the way. On a lighter note, that huddle image is just objectively hilarious. I genuinely can't be asked to contextualize this photo, probably the dumbest discourse right now in all of world football. Liam Rossinha then with the most cringeworthy post-match presser imaginable. This is a real quote saying, "My players made the decision that they wanted to be around the ball, to respect the ball and show unity and leadership." I'm sorry, I'm done. Chelsea are not a real football club. My gaffer is actually a LinkedIn thought leader. Can I just forfeit the season already? Moving to La Liga, and we witnessed an absolute golazo this weekend, courtesy of Real Madrid's Arda Guler, just casually launching one from 68 meters out, perfectly lobbing the Elche goalkeeper. Is this a Puskás contender? I mean, the sheer audacity to even attempt a shot from here is outrageous. The execution was equally perfect. It was all in all a fantastic evening for Real Madrid. Off the back of a stellar UCL performance, they've backed it up with a comfortable victory to keep their La Liga ambitions intact. Fede Valverde, fresh off of his masterclass hat-trick, scoring another stunner. That's his 15th goal contribution in 18 games now for 2026. Almost half of those games he's featured as a right back too. He's stepped up massively in recent weeks, although I'd argue the most impressive aspect of this sudden Madrid redemption has been Arbeloa's reliance on youth players. Unlike Barcelona, we rarely see Madrid defer to La Fabrica talent, but midweek, 18-year-old academy graduate Thiago Pitarch was given a rare start and delivered an impressive performance. So this weekend, Arbeloa entrusted in the youth even further. Pitarch starting once again, and a further 5 La Fabrica talents came off the bench in Daniel Yanez, Gonzalo Garcia, Diego Aguado, Cesar Palacios, and Manuel Angel. Granted, Madrid are managing players for that return UCL leg, and they're also in the midst of a bit of an injury crisis, but it's still great to see the youth being rewarded nonetheless, because the talent is clearly there. Maybe that's something for Madrid to think about in the future, as this approach has clearly paid dividends for their biggest rivals Barcelona, who made light work of Sevilla to keep their 4-point buffer at the top of La Liga. Rafinha scoring his first hat-trick of the season. Granted, 2 of those 3 were penalties, but he certainly won't care. That first penalty too was just absolutely filthy with a Panenka. Beyond the 3 points, there are a lot of positives for Barca to take. Cancelo was outstanding, as was Olmo. La Masia graduate Xavi Espard looked very promising at right back, and Gavi made his long-awaited return to the first team too. Hopefully he can stay healthy for the foreseeable future. It's been a brutal couple of years for him battling injuries. Meanwhile, Atletico Madrid took all 3 points thanks to a simply stunning strike from Nahuel Molina. I had no idea he had that sort of goal in his locker. On the half volley, top bins, keeper stood helpless. Is this also a Puskás contender? I think it might. Either way, all 3 Spanish UCL representatives will be full of confidence now heading into their UCL second legs this week. Staying on the topic of Barcelona, and the results are in. Juan Laporta remains the Barcelona president in a comfortable election victory, picking up 68% of the vote, receiving more than double the votes of his nearest competitor Victor Font. This result doesn't exactly come as a surprise, don't get me wrong. Laporta definitely has a few critics, Xavi being one of them. He recently came out with a scathing assessment of the president and said he was directly responsible for blocking Messi's return to the club back in 2023. He was seen voting on election day, as was club captain Ter Stegen, who was also very much anti-Laporta, but in incredibly embarrassing circumstances, he was actually unable to cast his vote after failing to update his club membership. Hasn't been a good year for the German, both on and off the pitch. Moving to the Bundesliga, and I'm not saying we got ourselves a title race, but Bayern themselves are in a bit of a pickle right now. Over the weekend, they faced a Leverkusen side full of confidence following a promising display against Arsenal midweek. They took the lead early on, and Bayern would then go down to 10 men following a genuinely horrific tackle from Nicolas Jackson on Martin Terrier. Look at his ankle, bro. Apparently, he's not been seriously injured, but that was utter madness from Jackson. Down to 10 men, Diaz would then equalize in the second half before he was then sent off for diving, with the 9 men of Bayern holding on for a point. But a crazy situation has since unfolded. Bayern were without Neuer and Urbig in goal for this weekend's match, meaning third choice keeper Sven Ulreich stepped in, but he has since picked up a fresh injury. Even crazier, Bayern's 4th choice keeper Leonardo Klanek is also injured, meaning they will most likely have to resort to their 5th choice option in 16-year-old Leonard Prescott. The youngster was on the bench for their last 2 games and could sensationally make his debut in the Champions League in a few days' time. Understand, he's not even the first choice at youth level for Bayern, so it would be some step up for the youngster at senior level, but I'm still backing Bayern to advance nonetheless, thanks to their huge 6-1 advantage heading into the second leg. Dortmund, meanwhile, secured a comfortable victory over Augsburg to reduce the gap to 9 points, with 18-year-old Luca Reggiani scoring his first senior goal, the youngest Italian to do so in Bundesliga history. Moving to the Serie A, and despite dropping 2 points at home to Atalanta, Inter have actually increased the gap at the top following Milan's defeat away in Rome to Lazio. Isaksen's lone strike putting a dent in their title hopes, making things even worse when Rafael Leao was substituted today. He didn't take it lightly, rejecting Allegri's embrace. I don't think they're serious title contenders at this point. They don't have a reliable focal point in attack. Pulisic dropped off too. It's not looking great. Elsewhere, Napoli came from behind to defeat Lecce, with Matteo Politano coming in clutch, setting up Højlund before scoring a banger volley. This match day also marked the return of McTominay and KDB. If Milan and Inter keep dropping points, maybe they could sneak back into contention with 9 games remaining. Just behind them sits Como, who are in incredible form right now. 5 wins in their last 6 league games. Their latest scalp, a 2-1 victory over Roma. Cesc Fabregas is leading this club to new heights in the Serie A. They're also 1 game away from a Coppa Italia final too. Immaculate vibes for the Como-based club, although Juventus are looking to pip them off that top 4 spot, with Jeremy Boga's goal seeing them through away at Udinese. Predicting that top 4 is anyone's guess at this point. And finally, in Ligue 1, and Lorient deliver a hammer blow to the Lens title dream, defeating the unfancied French club 2-1. Ligue 1 will be thrilled with the news though. They literally postponed PSG's weekend match so they could adequately recover for their remaining UCL tie with Chelsea this week. Many would say this is blatant favoritism, prioritizing their biggest club so that they can maximize their league coefficient in Europe. In fairness, they only have 18 teams and have 1 cup competition to play in, so they do have the luxury to make these sudden postponements without causing major internal disruption. That being said, surely PSG have more than enough quality throughout their squad to play 3 games in the space of a week. But that's just my take. Anyways, guys, that's all for today's DMac Daily. I'll see you tomorrow.